If I find a font distracting or a tool distracting, it's getting in the way. It's a barrier. I don't want any barriers. So this is the third video that I'm recording. Who should write morning pages, why you should write morning pages, and this one is how you should write morning pages. Now I've covered this a lot, but I think it's worth going over it again. My approach has changed a lot. If you've read The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron says, well, I was told by Sebastian Bonchkiewicz, who introduced me to this practice all those years ago, you do it as soon after waking as possible. And that is the best time. That really is the best time. I find that when I write my morning pages immediately after waking up, they're very raw. They're much different to when I've been up even half an hour. I don't get to do them immediately after waking up very often because, I don't wake up and pick up the notebook and start scribbling because, my wife's next to me. I don't want to disturb her in the winter if it's dark, can't see. And I tried to follow that strict as soon as possible after waking up, as long as I could. But it's impractical, and over time I've learnt that it's actually not that important. Writing morning pages is a practice. I can't stress that enough. It's not something, I do get comments about people who say, I tried it for a week and didn't get anything out of it. A week might not be long enough. A week is almost certainly not long enough to give this a go. I was a professional writer for 3 decades. I have learned to express myself through the written word, to certain degrees of success. But that means I can do it quite easily. If you're not used to doing that, you might find it more difficult. Don't feel pressured to rush. I do it in about 20-25 minutes at the most. I've also got comments from people who said it took me like over an hour, which is it is a long time. That is a big investment of time first thing in the morning, especially when we've all got busy lives. It's one of those things where be kind to yourself. If you haven't got that time in the morning, do what you can in what time is available, and don't expect magical results instantaneously. It's not how it works. It is a slow process. I think it is a very valuable process, and if you see from the other videos, I personally am convinced that it is beneficial for me. Bear in mind that if you're drifting into the negative, I'm going to say this again, if you're in a negative space, try and steer it to the positive. Focus on the positive things. But the morning is the best time. This isn't journaling. This isn't a reflection. This isn't a processing of anything. It's an outpouring. It's a brain dump onto the page. I'll forget what I've written. If I do it first thing after I've woken up and it's really raw and I'm not really awake, I won't really know what I've written. But it's still valuable. If you want to get members perks such as videos with no ads, check out the join button at the top of the page or in the description. I think it's important to have tools that work for you. Now, if you're someone who likes a fancy notebook, a Leuchtturm or what others are there? Midori or, any of those. Rhodia and a nice pen. You use that. Knock yourself out. I'm using notebooks that I've settled on a pen. Bear with. This is the notebook I'm using at the moment. Now, this is cheap. This is Sylvine. They're a UK manufacturer. Do educational books, exercise books, that kind of thing. This is plain. It's slim. It lies flat. The pages take this pen that I'm using now, the Pilot V-Ball 0.7. Takes that really well, and it's why I like these, because it's the same reason as I like the Courier font. It becomes invisible. There should be nothing between the mind and the page. Fancy fonts, if I find a font distracting or a tool distracting, it's getting in the way. It's a barrier. I don't want any barriers. And also, if I'm writing, if I'm getting through 3, 4, 5 sides a day, I'm going to get through some notebooks, and then it becomes quite expensive. And that's been a bit of a sticking point for a long time, trying to find a notebook that I like to use, but that isn't expensive. These Sylvines are great. I'll see if they're available on Amazon in the US, where I know a lot of you are. And if they are, then I'll put a link in the description and on the shop. Speaking of which, don't forget to check out the merch. There's some Think Feel Right mugs and stickers and t-shirts and notebooks. And there's also the Emporium of Creativity. Lots of the writing tools and implements and things I've used in the past and books. Check those out. So how do we write? How do we write morning pages? Stream of consciousness. I'll say it again. Don't think, just write. You can put anything on that page. As I said in the previous video about who should write morning pages, I've told my wife, if anything happens to me, just burn these books. I don't want to throw them away. I know I burnt some for a video. So this is me and a little incinerator I bought. I thought I'd call him Dusty after Dusty Bin. Now, as you can see, Dusty's looking a bit nervous at the prospect of having a fire inside him. I mean, a lot of us have fire inside us, but Dusty's about to have a real fire inside him. I don't miss them, but I kind of just like having them because they're a body. I'll pick a notebook up and I'm surprised how far back it goes and all the stuff I've written in it. And it's interesting to see how much stuff has changed. My life has changed completely over the last 18 months. 2 years ago, I was freelance. I was working with the Royal Literary Fund. I was writing scripts and stories. That had a lot of benefits. And then I got a job. I'm going to say a proper job. And I became an employee. Really struggled with that for a long time. Until very recently. After 6 months, I thought, okay, I'm used to this now. After 12 months, I thought, okay, I'm used to this now. 18 months. Now it's been nearly like 2 years. Major life change. And I processed all this stuff through my morning pages and explored it and worked things out. And, when you're writing down the same stuff over and over again, that's the stuff you need to listen to, take note of. That's why I'll put stuff in ChatGPT, because it'll see stuff between the lines. Be honest with yourself. Take notice of the patterns and explore, enjoy that meditative state. What I'll find is I'll when I'm getting into it in the morning and I'm doing my pages on my own in the quiet, I'll get closer and closer and closer to the page. Closer and closer and closer to the page. And so the distance is, I'm only aware of it when I stop. Not aware of it when I'm actually writing. But it's like the rest of the world ceases to exist. And I'm here I've made these videos because of morning pages, because of, I had that lull over the summer where it was too hot and I was having doubts about it and do I want to do it? I've got the members. Check out the memberships where you can get ad-free exclusive members videos. It was the members that really kept me going, because I could easily have let this go. Because I got the job, I discovered free time and hobbies and switching off. When you're freelance, you're never really off because it's always in the back of your mind, you've got to keep working. So the freedom you get with freelancing, being independent, comes at a price, comes at a cost. And not only to you, but to also the people around you. For example, in the, we have public holidays. In the UK, we're lucky enough to have several they're called bank holidays every year. And when I was a freelancer, I used to really resent bank holidays. They were like luxuries for employed people. Whereas me, I was like, I either felt I'd got to work when nobody else was, or I'd got to have a day off when I felt I should be working. It was like, what a pain in the backside, bank holidays. Now, I'm like, great, extra day off. So through my morning pages, I've processed this adjustment. You're not going to reprogram yourself from 30 years of freelancing in a week. I didn't realise how difficult that was going to be. I don't think my colleagues in the workplace realised how difficult it was for me. My wife did, because she's the person I speak to. But that's why. That's why you should do morning pages, to learn about yourself and to identify areas where you might want to focus, where you might need to improve, what you might want to do, where you might want to go. I've said it before, so I'll say it again. Don't make any big decisions. If you do anything because of your morning pages, you do it for yourself at your own risk. Risk feels like a strong word. Risk. It's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? To really improve, you need to get out of your comfort zone. It's a cliche, but it's true. Cliches are there for a reason. Write morning pages because they can help you achieve your full potential. That's a better way of saying to be the best version of yourself. They can help you achieve your full potential by highlighting and identifying what you want, who you want to be, where you want to go, and also inversely, what you don't want, where you don't want to be. That's why you should write morning pages.